Water plays an important role in mythologies across cultures, from the archetypal flood story that appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Quran, and the Judeo-Christian Torah, to Isis's tear for Osiris, which irrigated the plains of Egypt, to the less discussed flood myths of the Greek, Norse, Ojibwe, and the Mayans. The power of water and its meaning appear in even more places across mythologies. In most of these stories that people are familiar with, the floods render death and destruction. In this essay, I will explore the Aztec interpretation of water as a more positive force. Specifically, I will compare the Aztec flood myth with water in the Judeo-Christian mythologies. I will then discuss how these lessons can be applied to the interaction of humans and nature. The Aztecs. In the Aztec origin mythology, the Aztecs were told by their god to look for an eagle on top of a cactus eating a snake. This is a famous scene now found on the flag of Mexico. When they found this cactus, it was on a pair of islands in the middle of a lake. This lake was at the bottom of a valley, which was surrounded all the way around by mountains. At the middle of the lake, access was extremely limited, making invasion difficult. The valley was surrounded on all sides by mountains. This made the soil rich. These shallow lakes also collected organic matter and provided an environment for fish and animals to thrive. The structure of Tenochtitlan was just as dependent on water. There were 4 long causeways extending from the islands to the mainland. In the city, the land was reclaimed by making chinampas in the shallow lake bed. In areas there were roads, but the primary mode of transportation was canals. At the top of the city of Tenochtitlan sat 2 temples. One temple was for Huitzilopochtli, the god of sun and war, who had led them to Tenochtitlan and through their travels. The other, tellingly, was for Tlaloc, the god of rain. In addition, the Mexica had several other gods and goddesses related to water. Judeo-Christian water myth. The Judeo-Christian Bible, like the Aztecs, mentions water in abundance. However, water is presented the most during the Great Flood and the splitting of the Red Sea. In the story of the Great Flood, God sees the sin of humans and decides that it merits wiping out all humans on earth, save Noah and his family, the only righteous humans left. He instructs Noah to build an ark onto which he loads a mating pair of each animal, then floods the earth, killing everything alive except for Noah, his family, and these animals. The second major flood story in the Judeo-Christian Torah is the splitting of the Red Sea. This occurred when the Jews were fleeing slavery in Egypt. The Jews found themselves trapped between the Egyptian army and the Red Sea. God instructed Moses how to make the seas split. The Jews crossed, followed by the Egyptians. The Egyptians decided to turn around, and as they were doing so, God instructed Moses to close the seas on them. In contrast with the Aztecs, Judeo-Christian mythology views water as a bringer of destruction and death. During the flood story, this is obvious. During the crossing of the Red Sea, to crush the Egyptians while they retreat shows the indiscriminate power of water. The Spanish in Tenochtitlan. From the start of their presence in Tenochtitlan, for their part, the Spanish caused abundant problems with water. They deforested much of the land, including on slopes, causing erosion to fill in the shallow lakes. This decreased their water holding capacity. They let the dikes degrade and narrowed canals to make wider streets. This led to several flood events. Later on, they started pumping excrement through the mountains. This meant more water was going out than coming in, and water was shipped from outside the valley. Water being drawn from aquifers faster than it was refreshed led to subsidence across the city. Comparing the two. In the Aztec cultural understanding of flood and water, Lake Texcoco surrounding Tenochtitlan was a gift of the gods. Its geography was specifically chosen to protect them, provide for their sustenance, and provide a means of transportation. They had several gods related to water. This contrasts heavily with the Judeo-Christian idea of water. Although there are times that God gives water as a relief, the primary stories of water in the Torah expose the wrath of God. It makes sense then that the Aztecs tried to honor water where the Christian Spanish saw it as adversarial. The Aztecs harnessed its strengths where the Spanish tried to tame it. Because the Aztecs' multiple gods gave them more nuanced understanding of water, they were also more connected to water's roles. Conclusion. Analysis of the disparate understandings and actions of the Aztecs and the Spanish can be applied today without a need to abandon or embrace a particular belief system. Living more in concert with the natural inclinations of the world requires sacrifices short term, but with upkeep, the Aztecs have demonstrated that it enables long-lasting, stable systems. The Spanish, on the other hand, have demonstrated that if we think about our relationship with the planet as adversarial, with systems that must be opposed, we can quickly break even the most stable of systems to our own detriment. To show that this applies even in non-water systems, we may look at California fires. The current system is the Spanish system. Fires happen, we view them as purely detrimental, and because of this, we extinguish even the smallest fires to try to minimize short-term sacrifice. Under the Aztec system, however, we may not try to tame fires. Instead, controlled burns will work with the natural systems to remove flammable brush and increase water retention fire resistance. And we can acknowledge the limits of what we can do and move houses to less fire-prone spots if the risks are too high, even with the new system. It seems clear that applying this system of thought everywhere we can is only beneficial. It can help create sustainability in the world, economically, in terms of production capacity, and sustainable communities.